charismatic theologies of healing can be summed up into one of two camps. On the one hand, you have those who believe that God has promised healing and that he's faithful to the promises that he's spoken over us. So therefore, we will be healed if we ask about it. On the other hand, you have those who believe that God is sovereign and we can't force him to do our will, that he gets to choose what to do with his creation as the creator. Traditionally in the Assemblies of God, it was kind of believed that if you weren't healed from a disability or you weren't healed from a sickness or a long-standing illness, that it was because you had a lack of faith, which is detrimental, because then it sets the tone for shame to take over. It sets the tone for frustration, for the why am I not good enough, that frustration can ultimately lead people to walk away from any faith, because then they're left feeling like they're not good enough or their prayers aren't heard. So we're going to look at 3 examples of healing in the Synoptic Gospels. The Synoptic Gospels are Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and they're very similar, but they have differences because different people, different personalities. So the first person that we're going to look at is a person who had faith and was healed, and it's the woman with the blood issue. And that's found in Mark 5:24-34, Matthew 9:20-22, and Luke 8:43-48. Matthew 9:20-22 says, "And behold, a woman who had suffered from a discharge of blood for 12 years came up behind him and touched the fringe of his garment. For she said to herself, 'If I only touch his garment, I'll be made well.' Jesus turned, and seeing her, he said, 'Take heart, daughter, your faith has made you well.' And instantly the woman was made well." Her faith isn't in the measure of her faith, but in who Jesus Christ is and what his abilities are. The next one is faith is mentioned, but the person healed isn't the one who has faith, and it's found in Matthew 8:5-13 and Luke 7:1-10. It's the faith of the centurion. When he had entered Capernaum, a centurion came forward to him, appealing to him, "Lord, my servant is lying paralyzed at home, suffering terribly." And he said to him, "I'll come and heal him." But the centurion replied, "Lord, I'm not worthy to have you come under my roof, but only say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I too am a man under authority with soldiers under me, and I say to one, 'Go,' and he goes, and to another, 'Come,' and he comes, and to my servant, 'Do this,' and he does it." When Jesus heard this, he marveled and said to those who followed him, "Truly I tell you, with no one in Israel have I found such faith. I tell you, many will come from east and west and recline at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, while the sons of the kingdom will be thrown into the outer darkness. And that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." And to the centurion, Jesus said, "Go, let it be done for you as you've believed." And the servant was healed at that very moment. This is a really cool story here, because he's a centurion, he's a Gentile, and he's able to see the authority that Jesus has and trust that he could heal him at a distance, which up to this point, Jesus hadn't done in his public ministry. And it's something that the Jews thought was very difficult to do or couldn't be done. And it's one of only 2 times in the Bible that Jesus applauded somebody for their faith publicly. And again, to a Gentile. But the centurion's faith was again in who Jesus is, what his abilities are, and not in his own faith. Then Jesus visits Nazareth, which is his hometown, and finds that the faith there is absent. Nobody can wrap their head around what authority he has, whether it's human, demonic, or if it really is from God. And as such, he's not able to do what he needs to do there. And this is found in Matthew 13:53-58 and Mark 6:1-6. When Jesus had finished these parables, he went away from there, and coming to his hometown, he taught them in their synagogue. So they were astonished and said, "Where did this man get this wisdom and these mighty works? Is this not the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary? And are not his brothers James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? And are not all of his sisters with us? Where then did this man get all these things?" And they took offense at him. But Jesus said to them, "A prophet's not without honor except in his hometown and in his own household." And he did not do many works there because of their unbelief. We should stop putting the blame on, whether implicitly or explicitly, on the person who is seeking healing and hasn't gotten it yet. It's not an indication of the person's trust in God or what their faith and their spiritual walk is like, but it could be the catalyst that draws them ever nearer to our Lord. And sometimes he uses circumstances because he can. And lastly, maybe we should consider why, as the modern church that professes to believe in miraculous signs and wonders, we don't have the authority to heal like the New Testament church did. And maybe as a congregation and as a church, we need to seek that out and have more faith there, and maybe we'll be able to walk into that authority.